Welcome to the Weekend Live Show.
508 is where I'm from.
We run down the biggest stories of the week with you every Saturday night. Let us know in the comments right now where you reppin'.
Apache Junction, Canton, Worcester, Long Island, Manchard, South Florida, Webster, Malden, Framingham, Tucson, Wichita, Billerica, Salem, Gloucester, Moose Up, Connecticut, Charleston, South Carolina, Roslindale, Moose Up, Connecticut, London, Hanson, Glendale, Arizona, Lynn, Mapleville, Quincy.
Food stands, leave your clothes, buddy, and
hey, you a funny ass guy, man.
Have you ever heard of Turtleboy? Yeah? Are you a fan?
508 is where I'm from.
Hey, what's up?
508 is where I'm from.
How was that?
You a freaking idiot. Stop telling people that I'm mentally deranged and stupid.
Call me Aidan. He's not a doctor, but...
Get out of my store, please.
You're a fucking loser.
You are a loser.
You're not a journalist. You're nobody. You're not turtle hair. Don't make such fun of the criminal justice system.
NFL on the house, blog out.
Let's get this party started.
It's go time. Tick, tick, boom. Bringing the noise. Go, baby, we bringing our toys. Separating from the boys. Chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go eight, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this. So it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's good quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go eight, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
It's go time. Tick, tick, boom. You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go eight, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
It's go time. Tick, tick, boom. We're bringing the noise. Go, baby, we bringing our toys. Separate men from the boys. Chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go eight, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this. So it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's good quiet.
Tick, tick, boom.
Boom! What's up, Turtle Riders? How's everyone out there doing tonight? Good, excellent. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your fearless host. They call me, my real name's Aidan. Some people call me Clarence. It's my Facebook name, Clarence Woods Emerson. You can follow me on there, or you can call me Uncle Turtleboy. A lot of old school Turtle Riders call me that. I prefer doctor, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I like the ring to it. I just like being called a doctor. And if Jill Biden can call herself a doctor, then I can definitely call myself a doctor. Somebody got so mad about that the other day on the page. It was like, she got a doctorate and she got her PhD. Oh, for fuck's sake. If you can't take, I mean, If the joke has to be explained to you, this is the wrong place for you. Let me tell you. But either way, welcome. Some people call me daddy. I know that can be a little creepy for some people. Totally get it. If that's not your thing, I will accept it, but I will not mandate it. Let's just put it that way. And I would it's weird if guys call me that too. So, but whatever. I don't care what you call me. Just be here every Tuesday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. sharp. That was my New Year's resolution, was to get here on time. And I feel like I've done it. I used to be late for the show a lot. Like, people used to have guesses about what time I would be here. I was like, I'd be 9:12. They used to have pools and stuff like that. But now I get here at 9 every Tuesday and Saturday night. So be here at 9 and make sure you smash that subscribe button. We're getting close to 50,000 subs. I think we're 48.3 or 48.4 now. If we can get that up to 50,000, that's halfway to 100,000 when you think about it. So, and then with 100,000, you get a plaque. Like, I was at Tim Cat when I was hanging out at Tim Pool's house in January. I started my year off there, the year of the turtle, and he had a big plaque for that. You get one of those for 100,000, and then I think 500,000, and then $1 million. So a turtle can dream. I never, last year at this point, I think we had I don't even know, 20,000 subs, but we've grown a lot in this year significantly on these YouTube streets. Largely, obviously, the Karen Read story has a significant amount to do with that, but I also did a bunch of big stories before this too. Monica Cannon Grant's in the news. You guys see Monica Cannon Grant? Her lawyer yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw this. Monica has benefited more from Jen McCabe than anyone. I feel like she misses the attention almost. Monica had a court the other day in Moakley Courthouse, the same one where Colin Albert testified in front of the federal grand jury. And her lawyer, her third lawyer, Christopher Malcolm, just didn't show up. He didn't show up. Can you believe that? He just didn't come. Imagine your lawyer just didn't come to court. It's her third attorney. The first one, I think his name was Goldstein or Goldman. I don't know if there was a falling out there. He was a private counsel. He left. The second one was the court appointed attorney because she got broke. And that guy was just like, dude, there's so much discovery in this, and this woman is insane. And he basically tapped out. And so then they got a third guy, Christopher Malcolm, and he just didn't show up. And the hearing went on without him. I don't know what that means, if you could just not show up and your lawyer just doesn't show up. But apparently that happened the other day. And the media tried calling him, the court tried calling him, emailing him. He just didn't show up. That's wild. People forget about Monica. And Monica's being prosecuted by Adam Deitch, I think is his name. I'm told, is the same guy who conducted the grand jury inquiries into all these people. So it's I think Monica's up next, and then it's them. So we'll see. It's coming. I'm telling you right now, it's coming. Don't forget that. All this bullshit that you're seeing from these people on Twitter, who are these Alex Arias, the guys that kick, the Jackie Dougals of the world. It's basically the Dougals on Twitter, and Jill Daniels, probably a couple others, and Krusty, and they're on there, and they make it seem like there's this widespread, and then obviously useful idiots like Kevin, who is just freaking not only insane, but comically insane. I responded to I gotta be honest. He's the funniest fall. Ever since he made the Sims video, I just can't get enough of this guy. I know I said we shouldn't pay attention to him, but he's too funny. It's just, it's good comedy. You gotta appreciate good comedy. So this is what he said earlier. Let me read this to you. This tweet he had. Oh my goodness. Okay. So he said earlier, about Olivia Lambo. Okay. He hates Olivia Lambo. Remember, he was saying Olivia Lambo was Karen Read for long. He was calling her Karen. He's wicked smart because he's got sources. And so he's pretty convinced this is when Krusty Panties is your source, or Chris Albert, Jen McCabe, those are his sources of information. And so he goes, he has since conceded, I guess, that it's not her, because now he's saying that how did John end up in, Olivia Lambo said this, quote, "How did John end up in the front lawn, 12 feet away from the roadway where you allege these taillight pieces were found? How do you know where the 35 pieces of taillight were found, given the 5 searches recovering over 90% of the pieces were undocumented? Okay, so that Olivia Lambeau, who is excellent, posted this on social media. Now, this, again, all this says, he was found on the front lawn, 12 feet from the roadway. Taillight, 35 pieces of taillight were found. And 90% of the taillight piece of those 35 pieces were found on undocumented searches by Michael Proctor, because they only found 4 of the 35 pieces on January 29th at 5:45 when the CERT team went in there and found the 4 pieces that the Canton police missed. And then in the coming weeks, Michael Proctor went back every time, like the taillight whisperer that he is, and he found more taillight every time, every single time. And so this is a perfectly legitimate question that anyone who read the court filings would ask. And it's certainly not indicative that you have any inside information or anything like that. It's literally just regurgitating the court documents. And then, but Kevin's figured it out. Okay, this is what Kevin says. This is why there's reason to believe that she actually works for the defense. Okay, like basically anyone who is intelligent and can articulate what the problems are, like review the court filings and articulate what the problems are in an effective way, works for the defense. So he assumes, to our credit at least, right, that all, that we're all smart. Like we're smarter than them, I guess. I don't know. He goes, this is why there's reason to believe that she actually works for the defense. Is it like we all, like I've been told I work for the defense. I published the story April 18th. The Colin Albert got a subpoena on April 10th, long before me. The filing was made in court on April 12th. I didn't pay attention to it for a few days. I had other things going on. I was working on, I think there was Mike Fucci. It was like suing me that week or something. I don't remember. I had a lot going on. But he goes on to say, because that kind of deceptive repackaging is worthy of Alan Jackson and his non-human hair. Deceptive repackaging. What was deceptive about that? Did you catch it? She might slip that by a little. She might slip that by a little turtle. All right. But not regular people. Yeah. Regular people, like, you guys are stupid, but regular people like Kevin, they're smart. He's much smarter than you. He goes, 95% of the taillight mass recovered was in that one big piece found at 5:45 by the CERT team. 95% of the taillight mass was found in one piece. Says who? Like, does this guy just make shit up? So 95% of the taillight was found in one piece. He has no evidence of that. He's just saying it. I've not read that anywhere. And Olivia is saying that 90% of the pieces, again, there was 35 pieces and they found 4. That is roughly 10%. Little, like maybe 11%. So 90% of the taillight pieces were found after the fact. Okay? That's just a fact. But Kevin's like, no. That's a repackaging. That's some deceptive statement she's making. Because he says that 95% of the taillight mass recovered was in that one big piece. He has no evidence of that. He just says it. But if you count that big piece as just one piece, worth no more than the other tiny pieces, then you can make the statement that 90% of the pieces were recovered later. Yeah, they were. It's just a fact. So basically he's saying she's telling the truth, but the pieces they found the first time were bigger based on, I don't know what that means, but that's somehow deceptive. Somehow. Yet Olivia, see how deceptive they are? Yeah, we almost fooled you, Kevin. Yet Olivia has become the single main voice of the conspiracy theory. Yeah, she's the only one out there saying this shit, Kevin. The only one who believes Karen Reed's innocent. The only one worth listening to, actually. Hey. But there are a great many deceptive posts like this, enough to make a reasonable person wonder who she really is and works for. how about you, Kevin? How much are you getting paid by the McAlberts to do this? I mean, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to throw around accusations. Okay, Kevin, how much are you getting paid? How much are they paying you to do this? Because you were all, you were pretty convinced of Karen Read's innocence. Then all of a sudden you're like, no, she's definitely guilty. The second you started talking to these people, it's interesting. How much are they paying you, Kevin? Of course, I don't really think they're paying you, Kevin, because I don't make shit up. You do. But there are a great many deceptive posts like this. Enough to make a reasonable, or in her defense, maybe she's just easily duped like the other baby turtles. Yes, he's the smart one and we are all stupid. Okay. And because basically like everyone who points out or reads the court filings works for the defense, except for Kevin though, because Kevin gets his news from Chris Albert and Jennifer McCabe. He is the only unbiased person in this whole situation. So you can trust him. Here's the other one that he posted, which I was just laughing at. Okay. This was the best one. So I posted a story today about Elizabeth Proctor hiring an attorney, which is, I've never seen a murder case in which all of the witnesses got criminal defense attorneys. That's wild. Now, you can make the argument that, well, they're filing Rule 17 motions to get all their phones. Well, I've seen murder cases too where people hand over their phones. If they have nothing to hide, if they're completely innocent, it's a great way to exonerate yourself. Not these people, though. They all hire lawyers because they don't want you looking through their phones. Again, they took my phone, and we haven't even tried to suppress that because I got nothing to hide in my phone except for my sources. I don't want people knowing my sources. And there's some other stuff in there that you don't need to see because trust me. Trust me. I mean, some of you might like to see it, but I can't guarantee that. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so he writes here. So this whole judge thing. So anyway, he hires this guy, or she hires this attorney, right? And this like if we're going down the list of people who have attorneys, okay, Brian Albert hired Greg Henning, right, due to Rule 17 motion. Colin Albert hired Joe Krowski, or his dad did, whatever, from Brockton. Who else? And remember, Colin wasn't even like interviewed by police at all at that point but he went in front of the grand jury, so he needed an attorney. Higgins' attorney is Bill Connolly, who works with a lot of federal cases. I'm quite positive that Higgins flipped. I think anyone looking at this objectively assumes that. And who's the other one that hired an attorney? Oh, Jennifer McCabe hired Kevin Reddington. Like the guy who, like guilty people he represents. So even though he's my buddy now, even though we're bros, he says. So she hires a different person though. And by the way, Michael Proctor and Bukaki have both hired an attorney as well, but we don't know who that attorney is because it's impounded for some reason. Something about DNA. I'm guessing they're like, remember they found like DNA. Like Yannetti made a statement in court that like on John's taillight were like 3 samples of DNA. Like how did other people's DNA get on his thing on Karen's taillight? Well, so what are they hiring attorneys for? And they're not union attorneys either. It must not be a union attorney. So what's up with that? So anyway, she doesn't even hire the same attorney, I'm assuming, as them. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But she's got this guy, gray-haired fella, by the name of William Kettlewell, I think. William Kettlewell. And I looked this guy up. And this guy's record is obvious. Like this guy's, this guy's expensive. This guy's got probably like way over $1,000 an hour, I'm guessing. Not cheap. Probably the retainer to do this is probably like 10 grand, I'm guessing. Minimum. And so this guy is just been hired to do this Rule 17 thing. And then you look at his thing, you're like, why didn't she what does she need this kind of attorney for? Because it's a copy and paste situation here. You got Auntie Bev, you got the home court cooking. You've seen already that she denies Rule 17 motions all the time, calls them fishing expeditions and cites Lampron. We've been down this road before. It's almost like we know what she's going to do. Yet so she could have hired anyone. She could have hired any attorney and just copy and paste whatever Greg Henning said for Brian Albert. But she didn't. She hired this guy. And this guy, as it turns out, has a long history of working federal cases. He was a former state prosecutor and a federal prosecutor for the United States Attorney's Office. So he knows the ins and outs of federal courts. He has also represented public officials who have been charged with corruption by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Well, that's interesting. It's almost as if Elizabeth Proctor has hired an attorney preemptively, a 2-for-1, that she has hired an attorney here that could potentially help her not only with, this Rule 17 thing, but it's almost as if she anticipates herself ending up in a federal court, as she should. And it wasn't like this. So all of this projection that you're seeing online, all of this bravado about it's over, blah, blah, blah. It's all projection. Like these people are shitting their pants. And I know they're watching right now. And you're not fooling me. And you're not fooling any of these people. You are shitting, no matter how much you say, no matter how much they pretend that they're not, they are shitting their pants. They're going to lose everything. All these people. A lot of them are going to go to jail. A lot of them are going to be indicted. They're fucked. A lot of them are going to be separated from their children. And everything that they work for is going to be gone. And they know that. And they have nightmares about it. They haven't been able to sleep good for the last 2 years. Actually, they slept a little good after Kearney got indicted. Then Daddy showed up, and then it hasn't been fun since April. It hasn't been very fun at all. They had one good day. October 11th was a good day for them. The day that I was temporarily arrested. That was a good day for like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, until they saw me walk into that courtroom, not giving a fuck at all, and just with the daddy's ready to fuck face. Oh, they realized right then, damn it, we thought we had him. We thought we had him. We thought we broke his spirit. And then I came out in the courthouse steps and I was expecting them all to be there, all confident and shit, because they outnumbered us there and they were gone. And then I gave one of the greatest, courthouse step speeches in, American judicial history. Obviously, it will go down in the record books. You'll be reading about it in the history books for your kids. And then it's been downhill from there. It's been downhill from there. So all this is fake. All this bravado that you're seeing, it's all fake. So I post this story today on Twitter, and then Numbnuts Kevin comments. He goes, I've read Elizabeth Proctor's first message from Jen McCabe. Okay, time out. You've read Elizabeth Proctor's first message from Jen McCabe. So he's admitting now that he works directly with them. Like he gets his information from them. They're showing him things. And he says it's the first message from Jen. How do you know? How does he know it's the first message? How do you know, Kevin? That's a real question. How do you know it's the first one? How do you know that? Because they told you it was the first one? And he goes, this message, he goes, came after Morrissey's weird press conference. So two things here. First of all, Kevin, it's this guy. I mean, talk about knowing not. This guy, like I said to him, I go, Kevin, you have a lot to learn about women, including how to please one, I'm guessing. Because, believe it or not, Kevin, women can lie, especially women with a lot to lose, like Jennifer McCabe and Elizabeth Proctor. So they just told this guy, like, this guy's dumb. He's like any other guy that we've made think over the years is actually going to get laid, and we just get him to buy us drinks. That's Kevin. And then we're not going to, that guy's creepy. I'm not going to his fucking house. Obviously not. Thanks for the drinks. Called and they give you the fake phone number. Yeah, that's what happened here. He's a useful idiot. And so he actually responded with that, which I thought was hilarious. So anyway, and also he goes that it came after Morrissey's weird press conference. Like, excuse me, but they said at my hearing that the first time they ever spoke, Jennifer McCabe and Elizabeth Proctor, was on September 25th when her car was parked outside of the house and they arrested me for conspiracy to commit witness intimidation for writing about that and proving that they lied, that the district attorney's office lied. So which is it, Kevin? Was it 9:25 or 8:25, the day of Morrissey's weird press conference? When was the first time they talked? Oh, yeah. So anyway, and then he also is now accusing, I shouldn't even waste time, but it's just too funny. It's too funny. He's been very busy today going at Jen Altman. And I guess he's accusing Jen of being like, what, the pit bull or the mastermind or something behind this whole thing. There's a new mastermind every week. It's all. And have you noticed that Kevin just attacks a lot of women? Like, he really likes going after women, and he's kind of sexist and racist. Definitely a little bit racist, Kevin. Because Kevin's thing is, he always says that, like, oh, Jen McCabe couldn't have done this. She's a soccer mom. In other words, white women from the suburbs with 2-car garages, they don't kill. They're incapable of murder. Now, maybe if she was, some ghetto hump in Roxbury with a litter full of unregistered crotch fruits, that he would assume that, she is capable of murder because she doesn't have a house in the suburbs and she's not a lacrosse mom. A little bit racist, Kevin. A little bit racist, a little bit sexist too. So chill with those two things. Friend zone Kevin, yeah. So this is what he says to Jen today. Jen Altman. I have a ton more info today, things I can't reveal, but I can say with absolute certainty that Karen struck John and knowingly left him, and her attorneys know it. Ask her. Not that she'll say. She is in fact guilty 100% of second-degree murder, though the smoking gun is inadmissible, and I will leave it at that. Okay, sure thing. The smoking gun that can prove that she committed murder is not admissible in trial. Whatever that means, and he can't tell you what it is, but it's real. You just have to trust him because he's very trustworthy. He's a legitimate person. He makes Sims movies. And then she goes, if it's inadmissible, it doesn't exist. Then he goes, Jen, I am not lording over you. What? I am not being a jerk. I know this case means a lot to you, and you've invested a ton of time into it. I don't lie. He's very honorable. You don't have to like me to recognize that. And I am not celebrating any of this. It's a terrible tragedy. But everything I said above is 100% true. Just keep it in mind as you proceed, because it will come out in the end. Like, he's like doing this whole thing where he's like, oh, I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you from embarrassment, Jen Altman. Then she goes, I don't believe you. It's that simple. He goes, I can accept that, Jen. I understand how hard this will be. Just keep it in the back of your mind. I don't know you and have no reason to lie. I'm actually a nice guy. Stop right there. Any guy who ever feels the need to announce that he's a nice guy is not, in fact, a nice guy. He's the guy who's waiting for you to get blackout drunk. That's the guy. That's what he means. Okay. And doing something nice here. So he's trying to help her out. The way you've treated me, you don't deserve it. Ooh. But then I remember that this is something you really believe. So I am forgiving. He's going to forgive you. He's a narcissist. But it is true. There's a chance it will come out next week. Oh, no. Though maybe not. It's like, no, maybe not. But Karen knows. Okay, sure she does. Sure she does. Then he goes on to say, you should believe me because I've been right on much of this. Things I report have been true. I don't know what, but he says they are. But I'm busy. Good luck with your insults and rolling rallies. Then he goes, you literally have no clue. I'm done being nice to you. This is all going to blow up. And because you are what you are, you deserve it. You only talk to Karen readers. Karen readers. So you have no idea what people outside the circle of weirdos talk about. We see you on Twitter, Kevin. It's not that hard. You found your little niche and it made you feel important. Filled some little hole in your shallow life. But you'll learn in the end. More people take me seriously than you realize. Does he actually believe that? because he's surrounded. Like, I feel like this guy is just found when he was like playing second fiddle to Turtleboy. He's like the other guy that said that Kara Reed was innocent. It just didn't have, he's like, I want a thing for me. He needs a thing for Kevin. And so he was going to be like Krusty Panties was already the Turtleboy bad, Karen Reed bad, Jen McCabe good. She already taken that angle. So he was going to take the new angle, the deep thinker angle, the unbiased, what will he say next deep thinker angle, except it wasn't very deep at all. And it didn't have much thinking. Then he goes on to say, he's got one more that I was just sending you. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, he thinks that we're both sliding towards she's guilty. It's just wild shit. So that's enough of that. Anyway. So here's the deal, guys. If anybody wants to contribute to the program, you can't give a super chat because YouTube took that power away from us. So, and by the way, make sure you smash that subscribe button and leave a comment afterwards. Helps with the algos as well. And shout out to the Rumble Rats, all 232 of you over there. Excellent. Nice to see you guys. Cool. Yeah, so if you'd like to donate, though, you can click at the link at the top for something called Turtle Chat. You can donate whatever amount of money you want. And when you do that, I will get an email notification in my inbox that I will read out loud to the class with the message. Okay? And let me pull it up here. Let me pull Turtle Chat. Do you have any right now? Okay. So, like, this is from a few days ago. Nancy sent $30 and said, doing a great job. Justice for John and Karen. If anyone else wants to donate, the link to Turtle Chat is right at the top. Has anyone sent? If you've sent one, I haven't got it yet. That's usually odd. Usually there's a couple by now, but so I'm not sure if they're just not coming through. I gotta check. Let me check on this end. Hold on. You can also cash at me at $ Uncle Turtleboy as well. And let me see. Do we have any cash apps? Definitely got notified for a couple cash apps here. Babs sent $25 on the cash app. And yeah, my cash app is $ Uncle Turtleboy, by the way. Yeah, we got a couple turtle chats here. Today's the 16th, right? You guys didn't get the emails. So we got a couple here I'm going to read off. Today's the 16th, right? Okay. So Tom Pettigrew sent $10 with the comment, "What's up, you cunt? Merry Christmas." And you? How you doing, cunts? Nice to see you. Oh, they're coming up in my spam for some reason. Okay. Report not spam. Okay. Rose sent $5 and says, shout out to Will for completing his first semester of college and spreading the word of justice for Karen. Fuck the haters. Yes, goddamn. Good job, Will. Good job. Tom sent $100. Thank you, Tom. Merry Christmas. Says, keep fighting for justice. I can't wait to see all these scumbags in cuffs, aka Roast Beef Ronnie. Oh, Roast Beef Ronnie from the you won the costume contest. Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate that, sir. Great costume. Kevin sends $5 and says, please stop being mean to me. I ask hard questions and use logical logic on my YouTube channel. My arguments are far more convincing than Olivia's. I'm not jealous. She just hurts my feelings. I'm sorry to hear that, Kevin. Sorry to hear that. Leanne sends $10 and says, I think the real story behind the story is Elise okay? Hashtag twisted tragedies forever. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to her. She kind of disappeared after I called her out for being a scammer. Funny how that happens. DE sends $100 and says, Merry Christmas, Unk. Great work this year. Looking forward to the day we can celebrate the real bad guys in the saga getting theirs. Fuck them. Thank you very much, DE. There's the D and E. I won't hold that against you. Thank you very much. Okay. Again, if anyone wants to donate to Turtle Chat, the link is at the top. You can donate whatever amount of money you want, and I'll get it. You can write a message, and it'll come up in the inbox or read it. Okay. Babs sent $25 on the Cash App. It just said Merry Christmas. Thank you very much, Babs. Merry Christmas to you too. Jay Norris sends $5 and says, did the feds try to question Elizabeth Proctor? We don't, probably not, because she's not, I'm guessing they're a target. Your dirty little secret sends he sent $1. He goes, Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Katriana sends $9 and says, go time tomorrow, and thank you for playing the full intro. Yes, tomorrow, reminder, is the March for Justice, I guess, or the Walk for Justice in Canton. They're meeting at 92 Pleasant Street in Canton, Mass at 1 p.m., right as the Patriots get cream pied by the Chiefs. So be there. I don't know if any counter protesters are going to show up, but should be good. Okay. Cool. I think that's it. Okay. Oh no. And Natalie, and there's a good Natalie, the last one. Oh wait, what the hell was her message? She sent me a message the other day and I didn't get to read it. This was it the other day. She sent one and said, can we start a fund for some sort of crash test lifelike body so we can hit it in reverse and put this theory to rest? I wanted to do it with my car, but I'm like, I don't really want to sacrifice my car for this. Don't really feel like doing that. So, okay, cool. No, Bill Cannon has blocked me. He has blocked me on YouTube and blocked me on Twitter. So that was his response to my, I thought, respectful response to his ridiculous interview with Jennifer Kovendaver. So that guy's a friggin' joke. So I guess he's going to lose some viewers now. And, if I do read my comments, and if my entire comment chat was just filled with people be like, you got it wrong, you got it wrong, you got it wrong, I'd listen to you personally. Cause I'm like, wait a minute. Everyone can't be wrong. Everyone can't be wrong. Like somebody but okay. So there's that. If anyone else wants to donate, link is at the top for Turtle Chat. Or you can cash at me $, Uncle Turtleboy. And by the way, it's like, that's on them. He's an embarrassment. Totally right. That's on them. Like it is just we're keeping receipts and there's no amnesty. Just know that. Like when this is all said and done, you're done. They're done. You're forever going to be known as the people that defended a bunch of cop killers and obvious cop killers. Like it was all right there. And you still in the face of undeniable evidence showing this woman's innocent and clearly someone inside that house killed them, you still stood up for the people inside that house, even though they murdered a cop, and you pretend to be pro law enforcement. There's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from that at all. So, I'm with you, Moro. Why can't he just ignore you or politely decline? Yeah, because he's a douchebag and he is what he is. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. I have a special kind of show tonight, even though it's 9:38, getting started a little late here. But so I found there's a case that I've been watching as a Dateline guy over the years out of St. Louis, Missouri, that's just strikingly similar to the Karen Read case. I followed this before the Karen Read case because the villain is the worst villain of all time until we found Jen McCabe. But the more I look over this case, the more similar it is. To the Karen Read case. So let me just introduce this to you, right? Let me just show you a couple the players here. So this is Betsy and Russ Faria. All right. They were a married couple from right outside of St. Louis, I think 20 miles away they lived. I don't think it was in St. Louis County, if that even is a county, but whatever. They had a home. She had 2 daughters. They were not his. I think he was her second husband. And she was murdered. And he ended up being charged with the murder, as we're going to see. Now, the other player in this, okay, the major player is this woman. And her name is Pam Hupp. Okay? Pam Hupp. And she was Betsy Faria's alleged best friend, according to her. And ultimately became the star witness for the prosecution of Russ Faria, who was charged with Betsy's murder. Okay. Now, another person involved in this is this guy. Where'd it go? This gentleman, special needs guy named Louis Gumpenberger. Okay. Who I think 3 years after Betsy was killed, was also killed. And Russ Faria was also initially blamed for his murder by Pam Hupp. So let's just go over the facts of this case because it is freakishly similar. Okay. So let's start from the top here. All right. So in 2013, Betsy Faria was found dead in her home at around 9:40 p.m. by her husband, Russ. So he had come home and found her dead. She had been stabbed 55 times, and she had a knife sticking out of her neck. She was lying on the floor next to her couch in her living room, right on her side, and the knife was sticking out of her neck. She had 55 cuts, including some cuts on the wrist that like went down to the bone. Like it was a vicious murder, as bad as you get. But there was no blood found in the sink or the shower area, and there was no blood trail out of the home. And the first responders determined when they got there, remember, she was found by Russ at 9:40. The first responders determined when they got there. And have you guys heard of this case before? This is the Pam Hupp case. There was an NBC special with Renee Zellweger. I think The Truth About Pam. They've done like 3 Dateline episodes on it. Have you guys heard of this case before? Yeah, she did pretend to be a reporter. It's the wildest story. Give me a 1 in the comment if you've heard of this before, a 2 if you've never heard of it. I'm just curious if people have heard of this case before. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a 50-50 mix. No, when you watch for this stuff, okay. Actually, it looks like more no's, to be perfectly honest with you. So that's cool. So we're going to learn about this case. So they get, the first responders get there, and they determined that she had been dead. Her time of death, they determined, was 7:20, that she had been dead for more than an hour. He found her at 9:40. So Russ gets home first and finds the body. And the first thing he does is call, of course, 911. So let's listen to the tape of the 911 call. And remember about Jen McCabe's 911 call. Where's the 911? Where'd it go? I have it here somewhere. Sorry, I got a bunch of windows open here. That's not it. There it is. This 911 call is heavy, so brace yourself.
What is that number? Jesus.
A woman last seen by Pam, now dead.
If I really wanted money, there was an easier way than trying to combat somebody that's physically stronger than me.
Then, a hero becomes the villain. A desperate attempt to stop a divorce, and a killer caves and confesses during a 911 call.
Man.
Let's start with the call that has just become a series.
County 911, what is the location of your emergency? Okay, ma'am. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I need you to take a couple deep breaths so I can see what's going on. What is the address where you need this to come?
What?
Okay, what is the telephone number you're calling from in case we get disconnected?
I don't know this number. I know my cell phone number.
Okay, what is that number? Okay, who am I speaking with?
My name is Russell Faria.
Russell, what's going on there?
I just got home from a friend's house, and my wife killed herself.
So he thought she had committed suicide.
Okay, Russell, I need you to calm down, honey, okay? I need you to calm down, take a couple deep breaths. We're going to get somebody on the way there, okay? What did she do? Do you know? Okay, calm down, honey.
So this is sounds like Karen Reed, like a legitimate, authentic.
Is she breathing at all? She is not breathing. Okay. Russell, is there anybody that we can call for you?
Sounds fishy. I don't know. It's fishy, but
Okay, Russell, take a couple deep breaths, hon, okay? Okay, what is your mom's name?
my mom's name.
I'm sorry, I can't understand you, hon.
Lucy.
Lucy?
You want your mom's name?
And what's her last name?
Maria.
How old is your wife?
She's 42.
32?
42.
42? Okay, and you're for sure she's not breathing right now? Okay. Russell, how long were you gone today?
I left around 5. I just got back. But she was at her mom's and her friend was
I see. Okay.
I don't know what time she got home.
And you said that, has she been depressed lately?
She's got cancer.
She is, but she does have cancer.
Yeah.
So she had just been diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. She was going to die in the next year.
Russell, where's the knife now? I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said, hon. It's laying right next to her? It's in her neck?
Oh my God! Why would you do this to me? Why would you?
It's hard, man. It's hard to listen to her. But
Russell, they're on the way, hon, okay? They'll be there shortly.
I'm playing this because the prosecutor would later say that this is all an act. They said this is all an act. He sounds like he's faking. I don't know. Like, what is real? What is it? What does real sound like?
Is she on any medication? Okay, can you do me a favor? What I need you to do is I need you to get those medications for the paramedics, okay?
I think they're here on the table.
Yeah, we have everybody coming to you, okay? But what I need you to do is take a couple deep breaths and try to get her medication together, okay? Russell, where are her medications?
I think they're here on the table.
They're on the table? Okay, where?
There's the pill bottles here. I think these are it.
Okay, where is she in the house?
She's in
In the living room? Okay. Where are you right now? Okay.
My God. Oh my God. What am I gonna do? Oh my God.
Yeah. So, it's up to you to believe whether or not that's legitimate or not. But to me, it sounds, unless he's a professionally trained actor, and that's heavy shit, obviously. So he believes she's killed herself. Like, that's his initial reaction when he gets there, right? Now, upon further review, that gets him in trouble because the prosecutors are like, they think that's ridiculous. Like, and it is ridiculous that somebody could kill themselves by stabbing themselves 55 times. Just like Karen Reed, They're like basically your initial reaction to something. Like Karen Reed's initial reaction was allegedly like, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Right? That's what she was allegedly saying at the scene, because you're in trauma and you're freaking out and you're not thinking rationally. You're like, what the fuck happened? You certainly didn't think that he was murdered by a friend, right? That's the last thing somebody would think. He was murdered by my friend, just left here in the living room. Come on. So they found that ludicrous. They also found blood-stained slippers in the closet, in his closet. Like blood, like literally like blood. There was blood on the slippers. Let me see if I have a picture of them. A picture of the slippers. Oh, I think I found them right here. I'll show you the picture. Over here. So those are the slippers they found in his closet, like tucked away. All right. Now, there was no like, so he wore the slippers, but there was no blood trail from the spot next to the couch where she was found to the to the bedroom. And if you just killed somebody and you got blood on your slippers, like, wouldn't that be the first thing that you get rid of? And it's like with Karen Reed, it's like, I look back like, oh, she called him up and said, I hate you. I hate you. Well, isn't that the last thing you would do if you just killed somebody, is just incriminate yourself like that? Like, these people are just going to incriminate themselves in the dumbest way possible. Like, that doesn't make much sense. I don't buy that. He took a polygraph test, which is a mistake, and he failed it. So he failed a polygraph test. Now, as he mentioned, Betsy Faria had terminal breast cancer. So she wasn't going to live that much longer anyway. And she had been driven home from a chemotherapy appointment by a coworker at State Farm Insurance. She worked at State Farm by the name of Pam Hupp. And Pam Hupp's story was that she dropped her off at 7 p.m. and left the house. She told police afterwards she becomes the star witness for the prosecution. Who does this sound like? Jen McCabe, right? She becomes the star witness for the prosecution. So she's with this woman right before she's found dead, right before she dies. And she tells the police, what does she tell police? That Russ had a violent temper, that he was a heavy drinker, and that he threatened Betsy when she threatened to leave him. Does that sound familiar? It's Jen McCabe. It's Jen McCabe all over again. That's exactly what Jen McCabe said. He was trying to leave her. That was the story, right? She killed her because he was trying to leave her. And she's got a crazy temper and she was drinking a lot. It's the same freaking script. It's the same script. And at no point is Pam Hupp ever considered a suspect. At no point is she ever considered a suspect. And she is the star witness for the prosecution. The star witness. So it gets crazier because somebody gets arrested for harassing her. It's just like wild. It goes on. Okay. More facts here. Hupp urged investigators to search Betsy's laptop on a hunch. And when they searched the laptop, they found a Microsoft Word document in which Betsy expressed her fears that her husband would kill her. How convenient. She had written a Word document in which she said, I'm thinking he's going to kill me. So Russ ends up getting charged with murder the day after her funeral, and he gets held on $250,000 cash and bail. He can't afford it because he doesn't have a lot of money. But he's got a hell of a whole shitload of evidence exonerating him. For instance, he has his story, his alibi was he was playing poker with his buddies 4 miles away. Or no, apologize, 20 miles away. All 4 of his friends testified. They're like, yeah, they tell police this. He was playing poker with us. And then he left around 9 something. And on his way home, he stopped at Arby's. How do we know he stopped at Arby's? Because he's got a receipt showing he stopped at Arby's at like 9:20 or something. And so that all adds up. Remember, the first responders say she died at 7:20. There are no traces of blood found on his body or his clothes, and the police checked. Nothing. Besides those slippers, there was no blood anywhere. So the prosecutor, now this is, Missouri is a very red state, whereas Massachusetts is a very blue state. So in Massachusetts, Michael Morrissey goes, why is Michael Morrissey in power? Because you can't beat him, because he's a Democrat, so no one's going to beat him. So Michael Morrissey has nobody ever runs against him. If they did, it would be futile. They would lose because he's got all the money and he's a Democrat. He would love an election. He would probably misses like a chance to run against someone. No one ever challenges him. And in Missouri, and that's, I'm starting to realize those kind of states are the more breeding grounds for corruption. And it can go both ways. I feel like the states that are the least susceptible to corruption would be states where there is like a healthy, like where no one political party has a monopoly, like the swing states. The states that decide our elections are probably the places where corruption is the least likely to happen. And I feel like, like look at some of the major cases, like major places where like major, criminal cases have taken place. Wisconsin seems to be the center of it all. The Kyle Rittenhouse case was there. Although the Stephen Avery case was there. A lot of people think he did it. Some people don't think he did. I don't know. Michigan, I feel like there's been a lot of big cases out of there. I don't know. Pennsylvania. But anyway, I just feel like in Missouri is like a red Massachusetts. It is a state that Republicans have no chance of losing. So the people who get elected there, and they elect their judges in Missouri. So the judges are all elected Republicans, at least outside of St. Louis and Kansas City. And they got no chance of being challenged. It's a system where the people are, when you don't have to worry about doing a good job because you're going to get reelected anyway. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. So the prosecutor on this case, her name is Leah Askey, Leahskey. And she said, her response, she's like the Morrissey or the Lally of this whole thing. She says that the four friends with the alibi, they're in on it, she said. That was her argument that she made. That they were lying and providing a false alibi for him. She even went so far to say that not only were they lying for him, they conspired. They conspired to protect him. So so for instance, Russ's phone was left pinged at their house until 9 o'clock or 9:15 or something. It was at their house the whole time. She says that he left without the phone and in order to go back and kill her, and then came back, I guess. I don't know. And what about the Arby's thing? Because his car went through Arby's. They said that he took one of their cars and that they went to Arby's in his car to provide it. I mean, this is wild. This is wild. This is like explaining like why Brian Albert didn't come out of the house. Why a whole bunch of other shit happened. Like how he got the dog bites. This is the same. They're just making shit up. The difference with this is that the person they're protecting is a nobody. Like Pam Hupp wasn't some well-connected person. She was just an asshole. And what about the judge? We count on the judges, right? In this case, in these situations to be the fair and imbalanced ones. Well, Bev Canoni, we see what happens when Bev Canoni's in charge. In this case, the judge's name was Christina Mannemeyer. I don't know how to pronounce that. She was an elected Republican in a red state, right? Who had no chance of ever losing office, right? And she refused to allow at this trial a third-party culprit defense. his attorney, Joel Schwartz, was not allowed to say that Pam Hupp did this. He was not allowed to suggest it, introduce any evidence of that. There was not much he could do in this case. So it was also later discovered that the lead detective, Mike Merkel, reported that a crime scene camera had been broken and the pictures of inside the crime scene couldn't develop. Kind of like the Canton Library tape disappeared. Very similar. Or the ring cameras across the street at Tom Kelleher's house just stopped. Didn't work that night, I guess. I don't know. So that's odd. He ends up getting convicted within a year of murder and was sentenced to life plus 30 years with no parole in 2013. What about the four friends who were accused in court of conspiring to essentially kill Betsy Faria, right? And give this guy an alibi. They were never charged. They were never suspected of anything. That kind of reminds me of the Waterfall Bar, right? Like they are accusing, or no, it's CF McCarthy's. I apologize because she didn't even drink it. The Waterfall Bar. They said that like CF McCarthy's gave her like 9 drinks and then she got so drunk and killed someone. Yet they're not going after CF McCarthy's at all. They have no interest in that. And in this case, they had no interest in going after these 4 guys. As a matter of fact, they didn't even know that they were being accused of this until the prosecutor said it in her closing statements. They had no idea. They were like, what? It's also similar because Betsy had 2 kids, 2 daughters, teenage daughters, who loved Russ. He was part of their life, just like John's kids were part of Karen's life and vice versa. Afterwards, they became poisoned with lies and assumed he did it and turned on him. And Betsy's sister, much like Paul O'Keefe, also assumed that he did it. And after he was convicted, she said outside of court for the first time that Russ had smothered Betsy with the pillow and said, "This is what it feels like to die." That was a story that Pam Hupp had been going around telling people that Russ did, but it was never introduced in court. So it just showed that Pam, the Jen McCabe of this situation, was getting into the heads of the family, had befriended the family, had befriended the kids, had befriended the brother and sister. It's the same story, I'm telling you. The daughters, of course, they all sided with. They all just agreed. This guy that was part of our life, he was a monster the whole time. But it didn't sit right with everyone. And a local reporter that you saw at the beginning of that other tape, his name is Chris Hayes. He runs the local Fox affiliate over in St. Louis. He began looking into this more and showing up at the hearings and harassing Pam Hupp, asking her a lot of questions. He went to her house, started questioning her. I think there's probably, I bet you we got a video. Hold on. Let's see, Chris Hayes, Pam Hupp. I think his name is Hayes. Or maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Oh, is that the MSNBC guy? He comes up first. I think, what's his name? I forget this. Fox reporter. He was at the beginning of that first video we watched. What the fuck's his name? Hold on. Pam Hupp. What the fuck's this guy's name? Because he goes to her house. I'll find it. Give me one sec. It is Chris Hayes. Okay, hold on. He goes to her house. Chris Hayes, Pam Hupp, house. No, that's not it. Anyway, I'll find the tape another time. I was going to write a story about this, but we'll get around to it eventually. It's just a long story. Anyway, this guy starts digging into this case. And he really wants, they put like heat on the courts to review this because it was odd that Pam Hupp was the last person to see who admitted to seeing her alive. And then just wasn't, none of this could be, like couldn't even be suggested at trial. Why was that interesting? Well, in 2014, Betsy Faria's surviving daughters sued Pam Hupp because it turned out that 4 days, and this is wild, 4 days before Betsy Faria was murdered, she changed the beneficiary of her life insurance policy from her husband, Russ, to Pam Hupp. That is the most suspicious thing. Normally, that would be the most suspicious thing. Kind of like Googling how long to die in cold in 227. Or, I don't know, like you name all the suspicious shit that's happened in the Karen Read case. So she made 150 grand off of this. 150 grand. Now, she claimed that the reason that this happened was because she didn't trust Russ, because Russ is an animal, and that she was going to die of cancer. And so she wanted Pam Hupp to create a trust fund, which I guess Betsy could have created herself, a trust fund for the daughters, and then they can get the money at 18. But then a year after she was dead, there was no trust fund. So the daughters sued Pam Hupp. And that's when the media became, because now it's like a civil trial and she's got to get deposed. And this is all public. And you can't, you have to answer questions about the murder. You can't just plead the fifth or anything like that because it's a civil deposition. So they get sued for not putting that, for not putting the money in the trust. It was later revealed, okay? And this is wild. It was later revealed that Leah Askey, the prosecutor, was having a sexual relationship with one of her main detectives in the investigation. And guess what this guy's name was? You'll never guess what this guy's name was. This is fucking wild when you hear this guy's name. His name was Michael Lang. Sounds like not Michael Lang, Michael Lang. And the prosecutor was banging him. And so and he's also one of the star witnesses for the prosecution. So she's banging a guy named Michael Lang. Now, Pam Hupp was the last person to see Betsy alive. She admits that she got there at 7:00. She admits that willfully. Her story changes a bunch of times. Let me play this part here. Let me play the whole one.
I'm going to bring her home from mom's house.
Russell, I have a couple officers that are out there right now. Can you do me a favor and open your front door?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's unlocked.
Russell, are the officers inside with you now? Honey, I'm going to go ahead and hang up, and we're going to try to call.
The story starts more than a decade ago in a Missouri home when Russ Faria found his wife, 42-year-old Elizabeth, or Betsy, dead in their living room. In December 2011, the 41-year-old left his house and drove to a friend in St. Louis. He left at 9 p.m. and began the half-hour drive home, stopping at an Arby's for dinner along the way. Soon after, Russ discovered the gruesome scene. Betsy had been stabbed multiple times and her body was cold and stiff. At the time, she had been fighting cancer, which had returned after Betsy's diagnosis the year before. She had been told that it had metastasized to her liver and she wouldn't have long to live. So it wasn't a long stretch for Russ to think she may have taken her own life, as Betsy had attempted to before. When police arrived, they quickly determined the death was a homicide, given the number of stab wounds. Even after protesting his innocence several times, Russ was charged with murder after being questioned by detectives for nearly a day.
Notice how it's on tape.
God is in this room with us right now. And God knows that I did not do this.
Investigators found a pair of his slippers in the house that appeared to have been dipped in Betsy's blood and believed that he may have faked its devastation. Russ would spend nearly 4 years in jail as the system failed him one step at a time. First, the police, then the judge and prosecution, and finally the jury. Yet, in spite of this, it took his defense lawyer, Joel Schwartz, only a few hours to deduce who likely committed the murder. Schwartz was hired by the accused's cousin and advised that he look closely at Pam Hupp, a friend of Betsy's who had been acting strangely. Hupp had driven Betsy home the day of the murder and was the last person to see her alive. The 53-year-old also had a motive. She had been named Betsy's life insurance policy beneficiary only 4 days before the murder. Furthermore, the lawyer found several inconsistencies in Hupp's statements to the police, but the cops trusted the mother of two for some reason.
Did you go inside?
No.
So did you ever actually go inside the house?
I did. Well, we just went in. She turned on the hall light.
Sound familiar? Inconsistent stories. Who else has told inconsistent stories? Oh, yeah, Jen McCabe. She's got a different story every time she speaks to the police about, did he get out of the car? Did the door open? Did they leave? What time did they leave? I don't know. It's a different story every time. It's the same shit. And that wasn't a red flag. At no point was, because they had already decided Russ Faria did this and that she was useful. I mean, this is the problem with police. You see this all the time in murder investigations. When they decide that you're guilty in their minds, they think like that's it. I mean, these people are just human. They're just human. And although they probably get it right 90% of the time or whatever, that the ones that count are the times when they don't. I'd rather see the 90, like this is an ethical thing. A lot of people debate. Like, would you rather see 90% of guilty people go free and the 10% of, wrongly accused go free? Or are you willing to sacrifice those 10%? I'm not. It's just like, I'm not. I think anyone in jail, like that is one of the worst injustices you can possibly do. A society that takes away people's life, essentially, their freedom and their liberty. Like that is unacceptable. Unacceptable to put innocent people in jail for crimes that they did not commit. We cannot allow that sacrifice to continue just on the whims of a detective. These detectives, they're just like, well, I've been doing this for fucking 25 years. I know a guilty person when I see one. And then they just decide you're guilty. And they don't even look. Oh, this woman, she couldn't have done it. Look at her. This old lady, she couldn't have done it.
The judge at Russ Faria's 2013 trial barred Schwartz from introducing Hupp as a suspect, ruling that none of the issues surrounding Hupp qualified as a direct connection to the murder. The jury also never heard that Pam Hupp insisted on driving Betsy home that night or that she was the only beneficiary.
So that's the other part of this, right? Is Pam Hupp had, or Betsy Faria had a cancer treatment, a chemotherapy that day. And it's draining if anyone ever's gone through chemo, right? And Betsy's mother or Russ, one of them was going to pick her up. That was the plan. Then, no, I apologize. Her mother was going to get her, bring her to her house, and Russ was going to go there and get her. I believe that was the plan. But then Pam inserted herself into it. And Pam insisted, went to the mother's house, went to Betsy's mother's house and insisted, I'll give you a ride home. I'll give her a ride home. Just like Jen McCabe was insisting that John O'Keefe go over 34 Fairview Road that night, insisting on it. What else here? Hupp also claims that she dropped her off at 7 and her Betsy's daughter called her at 7:21 and she didn't answer. Remember, they believe she was killed. She was dead by 7:20. Cell phone evidence shows that Pam Hupp was she claims she dropped her off at 7 and left. But cell phone evidence puts her in the vicinity of that house until 7:35. So she didn't just drop her off and leave. She hung around. None of this was allowed to be presented at trial. None of it. And it would not be surprised. I guarantee you the prosecution in the Kearney case is going to try to suppress the Google search. Like that's what this whole bullshit is about right now. Like They know that nobody understands what the fuck they're talking about, and that's their plan. They're going to be like, well, we don't know who's right, so let's just not introduce it at all. That's going to be their plan, and they know they got the home cooking with Auntie Bev. They know it. So that's what they're going to try to do. Hupp texted Betsy at 7:20 and just said home, but yet her cell phone records put her right outside the house or in the vicinity of the house. And remember that Word document I mentioned earlier about the Russ is going to kill me thing on her laptop? There's just one problem with that Word document. Microsoft Word was not installed on Betsy's laptop. And that was the only document on her computer with an unknown author. So Pam Hupp wrote it herself after the fact. She went on there and she wrote it herself. Now, another woman in 2000, while this was going on, like a lot of people were like the St. Louis area was all buzzing about this story, and everybody knew that Pam Hupp was guilty as shit and that Russ was likely innocent. But it didn't matter because the prosecutor and the judge and the people who had the guns, right? They were able to basically say, like, we're not going to introduce any of this stuff at trial. And so people like me were out there being like, what the hell? Like, this is outrageous. This woman's clearly shady as shit. Remember, the civil deposition was going on at the same time. The civil case with the insurance money was going on at the same time. She took all this money and then she didn't give it to the kids. She just kept it. That's crazy. And so somebody called her. A woman by the name of Robin Taylor called her. And guess what the DA's office did? They charged this woman with criminal harassment of Pam Hupp because you can't be mean to Pam Hupp. Pam Hupp has to be protected, much like Jen McCabe has to be protected at all costs. So we play some more of this tape. This is wild, the similarities in these stories.
It seemed as if Russ's rock-solid alibi was not enough. The four friends Russ had watched movies with testified to his whereabouts that night, as did video surveillance from stops he made and an Arby's receipt found in his car. He was found guilty and ultimately sentenced to life plus 30 years. Until a new trial in late 2015, a judge found Russ Faria was not guilty and set him free. At the end of Russ's second trial, Schwartz warned that if Hupp were not prosecuted, she would likely kill again.
So he gets a new trial. He's got this great attorney. His name is Joel Schwartz. He appeals it. And after, I think, 3 or 4 years in prison, Russ gets his conviction overturned in November of 2015. Now, other things that led to the overturn of the conviction, right, were obviously a lot of media coverage of this helped. And by the way, several of those judges' convictions ended up getting overturned as a result of her failure with this trial, which kind of gives credence to a lot of people have said that they're covering for this because they don't want the Brian Walsh case to go south. And they don't want other things that Michael Proctor has worked with to go south. But that's on them. Again, I'm okay with Brian Walsh getting away with this if it means that Kearney gets if you would ask me what I would prefer, Brian Walsh and Karen Reed in jail or both of them free, I would say both of them free. And I'm okay with that because that's not my fault. That's Michael Proctor's fault. That's their fault. And then they can deal with the public fallout of that. You motherfuckers let this obvious murderer go free because you fucked up. Because you wanted to protect Brian Albert. You did that. That's your fault. I'm okay with Brian Walsh going free if it means Karen Reed is exonerated. That's just, I'm willing to make that trade-off. I'm not willing to let an innocent person go to jail just so Brian Walsh goes to jail too. No, that's unethical. Unethical. So a new trial was allowed and the third-party culprit defense was allowed to be used for Russ Faria on his second trial. A CSI agent who examined the crime scene ends up testifying that the slippers they found in there hadn't been bloodied by stepping in blood. They had been dipped in the blood, she determined. So literally came in and dipped them and put them out there, much like John's body was staged. It was just put out there. It's the same shit. They just staged the crime scene. It's not brain surgery, and they got away with it. This is a woman who has no connections, Pam Hupp, and she could get away with this. Think of what you can do if you're as powerful as the McAlberts. And yes, we're going to get to that. She might have killed 2 other people, probably did, including her own mother. So, she started claiming, then all of a sudden Pam makes claims. She got a new defense. She says that her and Betsy were lesbian lovers and that she saw Russ and another man parked near the house when she dropped Betsy off. Okay. In 2016, Leah Askey, the prosecutor, and the sheriff's office ended up getting sued by Russ Faria, and the United States Attorney's Office of Eastern Missouri announced that a federal investigation into corruption was being launched. Does this sound familiar? Leah Askey asked the county commissioner's office, the local people, before the feds got involved, to investigate her, and they found no wrongdoing. Isn't that funny? They the local townies investigate her, and they determined that she was not corrupt. The prosecutor, not corrupt at all. Later on now, so Leah Askey is no longer a prosecutor. Luckily, she blocked me on Instagram a couple of years ago when I started commenting under pictures of her grandkids and asking how she could face them. And she claims now her story is that she didn't think that Pam Hupp was physically capable of doing that. Okay, so you don't just Pam Hupp is a psychopath. Like, to do what she did to Betsy Faria, which she obviously did. She has never been found guilty of that, by the way. She is in jail for life, but not for killing Betsy Faria. She's in jail for killing that other guy I showed you, Louis Gumpenberger. We're going to get to that.
And she did.
Here we go.
911, where's your emergency? Hey, hello, there's someone broken in my house. Help. What's the address you're at? No.
That's Pam Hupp.
You want me to get your wife?
No, I'm not getting in the car with you. No, what's your address? Get out.
Bam, bam, bam. Gunshots.
Help. What's the address you're at? Help. Why is somebody breaking? No. Hello?
The fuck? Compare this to Russ's 911 tape.
What's the address you're at? Hello? Hello? Are you there? Yes, I am. Where are you at? I'm an intruder in my house. Where are you at?
I have an intruder in my house, she says. So this is Pam Hupp calling 911.
Who broke into your home? I don't know.
A man broke into my home.
Where is he at right now? I'm going outside.
So she's going outside the house.
Come on, over.
She just shot someone.
The fire alarms are going off too. Is he inside? Yes. Is he a white male, a black male? He's white. Hurry. He tried to get me in my car.
He tried to get me in my car in a garage. He tried to take me. He tried to kidnap me. This is in 2016. So, important context. By this point, this is like 6 months after Russ's conviction was overturned. This happens. Russ is now out of jail, awaiting a second trial on this. No, I apologize. The conviction was overturned. I don't think there's double jeopardy. So I don't even think he was facing another trial. So initially he was granted another trial in early 2015, And then the conviction itself was overturned, so they couldn't try him again. And then this happens. Pam Hupp says she's basically a victim of an attempted kidnapping. Some guy comes into her home, she doesn't know him, and she shoots him in self-defense.
It's on the way, ma'am. Where are you at right now in the home?
I'm in the garage.
You're in the garage?
My car. He's still in the house.
Okay, can you run to a neighbor's house?
I don't think there's anybody home now. I'm staying here. I have my dog. I have my puppy.
You have your puppy with you?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
She has her puppy.
You have no idea who the subject is?
No.
Are there any weapons in the home?
Yes, there's a gun on my bed. I shot him.
There's a gun on
What?
your bed? You shot him?
I shot him.
Yes, I shot him. He tried to get in my bedroom after me, and I shot him.
He tried to get in my bedroom. I thought it was in the garage.
There's a gun in the home. She said she shot him.
Even though the 911 operator is like,
as
what?
far as you know, is he still in your room?
No,
No,
motherfucker,
he's in the
dead.
hallway.
I shot
He's
that
in the hallway. Is
motherfucker.
he moving?
No, I
Is he hallway?
shot that
No,
motherfucker.
he's
What
not
you think?
moving.
Not moving?
Oh, hurry!
Ma'am, we already
Hurry.
have help on the way. Just stay on the line with me.
I'm so scared.
Is the garage door open?
Yes, everything's open. I was leaving out of my car. Where are they?
They're on the way, ma'am. Are you injured?
No, he didn't get me. He didn't get to me.
He didn't get you?
No, he did not get me.
Okay.
They're not here yet. They're not here.
I understand they're not there yet.
Okay, you guys get the point. So here's what really happened, right? In this case. So what actually happened was that she went around, like she had gone, this is in 2016. This guy, but the victim's name there, his name is Louis Gumpenberger. He was, mentally challenged. And he had, when they got there, the cops found $900 in sequential $100 bills on him. Sequential. With a note conveniently in his pocket. And the note, it was typed, I believe, with the instructions to, quote, kidnap Pam Hupp, get Russ's inheritance money from her bank, and then kill her and make it look like Russ's wife with the knife sticking out. That's what it said. So, like, he had a note on him, like, in case he forgot, because these are really complicated instructions. Here's $900. Kill or kidnap Pam Hupp. Take to bank. Get inheritance money that she got from Betsy Faria, which says Russ's money, and whatever. So in case you haven't figured out what happened here, is she's trying to frame Russ got convicted of murder, of murdering his wife, and then was exonerated. And she wasn't happy about that. So she's like, well, let's frame him again. And so she kills this guy, Louis Gumpenberger, and plants a note on him, making it look like Russ paid him $900 to go there and kidnap her, get her money, and kill her. Okay? Except she got caught pretty quick for this. So her story was that she was just sitting in her driveway in a garage when this guy gets dropped off there, gets out and comes in the garage with a knife and demands that she drive to the bank with him to get Russ's money. But then she, quote, karate chopped the knife out of his hand. And then she fled inside the house, not outside, into the house. He follows after her and she gets a gun and shoots him. And that's what you heard on the 911 tape. Hupp had then gone around town. As it turns out, she had been pretending to be a Dateline producer. She had been going around pretending to be a Dateline producer named Kathy, because she had seen, like, Dateline was on to her from the beginning. Like, the first time Russ was tried, they covered that trial. And they covered what was not presented in court, the Pam Hupp angle. And so she had seen, like, she was like taunting the Dateline people. So she had been going around to the slums. She went to like the trailer parks of Missouri and had gone up to people, including a woman by the name of, what was this woman's name? Her name was Carol McAfee. Cell phone records have her in Gumpenberger and McAfee's neighborhood 1 hour before the shooting. This guy she'd never met before. She was in his neighborhood 1 hour before the shooting. She brought her phone with her. Idiot. And the first person she tried to get was Carol McAfee. And let me see if we have the video here of Carol McAfee. Let's see. Here it is. Okay. All right. Let me pull this one up.
Where she turned around.
Park where she found Carol Alford. Tonight, we're hearing from her for the first time.
I sat there and I listened to Tim Lomar tell me his version of how he thinks I was supposed to die that day. Talk about leaving you numb from the neck down. It's hard. You know, you make jokes about it, whatnot, but you sit and you think about, she was really going to kill me.
August 10th, 2016. Carol Alford was on the porch with her dog when Pam Hupp drove by. It was captured on this surveillance video.
She waved. I was like, okay, waved. You know, thought maybe she was new in the neighborhood, and she drove down the street, came back, and she just pulled up behind my driveway, and she just sat there and she was just staring at me.
Alford remembers bizarre questions, starting with, do you babysit? And ending with an offer to make $1,000 if she'd go with Pam to do a 911 segment for the show Dateline.
So
if I help her, I can't bring my keys, my cigarettes, my cell phone, or my wallet because the producer does not like clutter.
Alford took her dog inside and grabbed 2 knives.
So I put a folding pocket knife up this sleeve and a kitchen knife in the front because I'm getting ready to get into a stranger's car that I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, is up to something illegal.
Alford did not even have shoes on when she got in Hupp's car.
Yeah, I was this close to her, rubbing elbows. I had the one hand.
There's a reason she went to this part of town, because she's like, these are the people that are the most expendable. These are the people that I can, whatever, you know. She didn't go to the rich part of town. She went to this part of town. She gets the woman, the pajama pants and no shoes, that brings a knife with her, who thinks something shady's going on. She's like, yeah, you want to make $1,000? I work for Dateline. We're going to reenact. She tells her we're going to reenact the Betsy Faria killing. That's what she says.
My pocket, like on the handle, because if I had to, I was coming out this way with it.
And by the way, I've talked to this woman before. I messaged her a couple years ago about this, and I wanted to have her on the show. So she's, by the way, she's now engaged to Russ Faria. They ended up becoming a couple. And I messaged her, and we had conversations about her coming on the show. And then I didn't talk to her for a while. I just forgot about it. And then I messaged her like when the Karen Reed thing started, because I'm like, wow, this is really similar. I messaged her about it, and then she blocked me. It was bizarre. We gotta get this woman on the show. I don't know why she blocked me. I can't message her anymore. But anyway.
As Hupp talked about where they'd be shooting the news segment, Alford's gut told her the knives were not enough protection.
So I'm thinking to myself right about now, best excuse I can come up with to get out of this car. We get to about here, and that's when I told her that, you know, I got to go back and get some shoes, lock my door because of my husband's dog, whatever. Right here is where she turned around at and took me back to my house. She started to get out of her car, and as she leaned forward, she looked up and kind of leaned back in her car. She's like, you have cameras on your house. And I'm like, not only do I have cameras on my house, but I know how to dial 911, and I have a knife in my pocket. Have a good day.
6 days later, Hupp found someone else, Louis Gumpenberger. Prosecutors say Hupp drove him to her home, called 911 while Gumpenberger read a script they believe Hupp gave him, then shot him to death. Police found $900 in his pocket and a note with instructions to stab Hupp to death and get Russ's money. Prosecutors say Hupp planted the note and that Russ is Russ Faria, a man wrongfully convicted in 2013 for the murder of his wife, Betsy. He was exonerated. After a second trial revealed evidence Pam Hupp could have been the killer. Hupp was never charged with Betsy Faria's murder in Lincoln County, but St. Charles County prosecutors say she was feeling the heat and that she plotted killing Alfred and Gumpenberger to convince people Russ Faria was the bad guy.
Knowing what I know now, that me getting in her car that day and trying to...
So she saw Russ out of jail as a threat. I mean, what did she care? I still don't really understand why she killed this guy. It's like she saw Russ, I guess, as a threat to the money. She just wanted to keep the money, the inheritance money. She did not want to give up that money. And she's on tape saying, like, if I wanted money, I could kill my mother. We're going to get to that too. We're going to get to that. So they end up finding that she had bought the paper and the pen that were used to write the note, I guess. And they got in the knife at the dollar store. She bought a knife at a dollar store. I didn't know you could do that. That the guy had on him. They found that, remember, there was only $900 on him and she was offering $1,000. She had the other $100 bill, which was in sequential order, in her wallet. She kept $100. That cheap piece of shit. She kept on, and it's like they were in sequential order, so they got it that way. Like, it was undeniable. And as soon as the police start, like, they get her for this murder immediately. There's no fool at this point. Like, she got away with murder once. They're not going to let her get away with it again. And so what Pam tries to do when she gets into jail is she tries killing herself. But wait till you see how she does this when they start questioning her. I'll pull this tape up.
Fired 5 times. The police quickly responded to the call, and when they arrived at the scene, they found the deceased body of Louis Grumpenberger crumpled in a hallway of Pamela's home. An investigation began immediately. Louis Grumpenberger was quickly identified as the assailant. When his body was searched, police found $900 in cash, along with a note tucked into his clothing, which contained ominous instructions.
Ooh.
Kidnap Hupp.
I mean, look at this.
Get Russ's money from Hupp at her back.
Look at the way she wrote it, too. She, like, tries to make him look like Flowers for Algernon, chapter 2.
Bank. And kill Hupp. Take Hupp back to the house and get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
Make it look like Russ's wife. Make sure knife is sticking out of neck. All this for a reward of $10,000. Pamela went voluntarily to the station for questioning and told police the story of her supposed assault.
Car came down really fast on the cross street and whipped around right in front of my driveway because I'm right at the end. Here's the cross street and here's my driveway. So they came out and did this right in front of my driveway, and I looked up because it was so fast and startling, and somebody jumped out, and I was like, wow, somebody, I don't know what I thought, if somebody was hurt, I don't know what was going on. It was so fast. And then he ran up, I was halfway out the drive where I was parked, and he jumped in my car. He opened up the door and jumped in my car.
Which door?
The passenger.
Front or back?
Oh, front.
Oh, passenger front. Go ahead.
And he had a bunch of stuff in his hands. I don't know what he had, but he had a knife also, but he had something in his other arm. I don't know what he had. And he put a knife and kept going, just yelling random stuff like, you're going to take me to the bank and get Russ's money.
Okay, yeah, so.
Take me to the bank.
He held a knife to her throat, telling her to drive to the bank and withdraw Russ's money, referring.
Then my mind just starts swirling because I'm like, going to the bank, this is so freaking weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to the bank with you. Get out of
I mean, just her arrogance is so similar to Gemma Cabe's. Like, she knows she can get away with it. She gets and doesn't mind talking. Doesn't mind talking to police. It's the same shit. It's a narcissist.
My car, and he goes, bitch, we're going to the bank, we're getting Russ's money. And he started getting all agitated, and I don't know, as I ran into the garage saying stuff. And then the door flew, he got in. It was really hard.
Did any rounds go, are there going to be any bullet holes in the door into the bedroom?
She shot him 5 times.
The door was.
And blah, 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 and I got to reclose.
After all the stories Pamela had spun over the last years, this was the one which would lead to her undoing. Something about it just didn't ring true. And finally, after all these years, and after 3 horrific murders, Pamela Hupp's story began to unravel. Though Betsy's husband Russ had been convicted and put away for Betsy's murder, he never stopped trying to prove his innocence and to find justice for his beloved wife. After years of appeals and hearings, the evidence against Pamela, implicating her in Betsy's murder, was set to be brought before a judge. And in the months before her mother's death, Pamela had been questioned again, and she knew that a case against her was building in that case as well. So, given how comfortable...
So with her mom, right? So in 2013, I believe this is after Betsy was killed, right? Pam's mother dies. So Pam was the last one to see her as well. She had just gone out to dinner or something with Pam. And Pam brought her back to her apartment. She lived in like the 4th or 5th floor. And they found in her system a whole bunch of, her mom's name is Shirley Newman. Okay. She lived alone in a 3rd floor apartment. She had dementia and arthritis. She had spent the day with Pam Hupp following a hospital visit, much like, Betsy Faria, was weak from the chemotherapy. At approximately 5 o'clock, she dropped her off at her apartment and telling her not to expect her for dinner that evening or breakfast the following day. A housekeeper found her dead beneath the balcony at 2:30 the next day. The aluminum balcony railing was broken. Following a police investigation, the medical examiner concluded that she had died from blunt trauma to the chest, resulting from an accidental fall. An autopsy later found that she had 0.84 micrograms of a sedative called zolpidem in her blood, over 8 times the expected concentration from someone taking a normal dose. So she had been drugged. The next month, the same people who investigated the Betsy Faria case received an anonymous note suggesting that Pam Hupp had murdered her mother for the life insurance. Hupp and her siblings had each received $120,000. Earlier that year, prior to her mother's death, she had been videotaped in the Betsy Faria investigation, saying, this is her quote. Her quote was, if my mom's worth $500,000 that I get when she dies. If I really wanted money, there was an easier way than trying to combat somebody that's physically stronger than me. She's like, if I wanted to kill someone, I just kill my mom. And then her mom dies. Mysteriously. Falls out of a balcony. The police reopened their investigation, but after interviewing the housekeeper who had found the body and her and Pam's brother, both of whom said that Newman was unsteady, they concluded that it was accidental. They never interviewed Pam Hupp either. So also, like, the shady part about that was a railing, like one piece of railing was missing. Like, and it was suggested that like the mother fell through the railing or something like that. It was like a pole, except the company that made the pole did a bunch of tests, and it's like impossible for what happened to have happened. Like impossible, they determined. And so she probably got away with killing her mother as well. Okay. This woman is a serial killer and a psychopath. Like one of the most dangerous, diabolical people ever. I mean, what she did to Betsy Faria, man, 55 times to kill your own mother. You don't just kill once. I'm telling you. Like, that's the thing here. It's just like, okay, so Kara Reed's innocent. She's going to be acquitted. If these motherfuckers, if somebody doesn't go to jail for killing John O'Keefe, like, there are killers out there. You don't just stop killing. Once a killer, always a killer. You know, like, especially after you get a taste for it. And you're like, oh, I can get away with this shit. Because that's the lesson that these people are going to learn from this is, oh yeah, we can get away with this. No biggie. No biggie. Play a little more.
Well, Pam was with murder as a way to solve her problems, she decided to implicate Russ in a further crime, believing it would take the spotlight off of her. So, Pam set about manufacturing yet another murder. She lured Louis Grumpenberger to her home, posing as a presenter from the television program Dateline NBC. She convinced this innocent man that he was there to help her reenact a 911 call for a segment on that show. And once he was in the perfect position, Pam shot him and planted the evidence on his body in an attempt to make it appear as if Louis was a hired hitman, hired by Russ from prison to retrieve his money. To the investigators who heard Pam's story, it all seemed rather far-fetched, starting with a member of the public having filed a complaint just 5 days before Louis was shot. The woman said that she had been approached by a person who had asked her to be a part of the Dateline show reenactment. The description the woman gave of the supposed TV presenter matched Pam's appearance perfectly. That woman had declined the offer to help reenact the 911 call, but had been so disturbed by the encounter, she contacted police. After soliciting this woman to be her next victim and being refused, Pam would next approach Louis Grumpenberger, who would, unfortunately, accept the fake proposal. Police obtained cell phone records showing Pamela was in Louis's neighborhood about an hour before the shooting, despite Pam's claim that his head was found to have been purchased at a dollar store by Pam, and the paper the supposed instructions were written on matched a pad of paper which was found in Pam's home.
Motherfucker didn't get rid of the notepad.
All of this evidence was corroborated by the fact that due to Louis's previous car accident and subsequent mental and physical disabilities,
like you picked this
it was
guy?
Unlikely that he would have had the physical ability to even carry out the acts that Pam was alleging.
The motive.
On the 23rd of August 2016, Pamela was finally arrested and charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Her time had come. Pamela would not be getting away with murder this time.
She knows she's on camera, so she's subtle. Watch this.
Look, watch this.
She grabs the water bottle to hide the pen.
This is her when she's about to be arrested.
Back slowly, casually. She takes the pen behind her to hide it in her pants. Then her neck again. It appears she's looking for her jugular or another vein she's about to strike with the pen. That's where she's escorted to the bathroom, where she stabs herself.
There's an officer here, a female officer that's going to escort you to the bathroom. Okay.
About 5 minutes pass when you can hear officers yelling.
While in custody, Pamela stole a pen from one of the investigators and proceeded to stab herself in the neck and wrists when she was in the bathroom in an attempt to end her own life. But her attempts to harm herself were unsuccessful, and prosecutors were unsympathetic to what they labeled as consciousness of guilt. In January 2017, Pam pleaded not guilty to her charges, and prosecutors stated they would seek the death penalty, in part due to her choice of Louis as a victim, given his particular vulnerabilities. By this point, the spotlight had landed squarely on Pamela, and over the course of the investigation into Louis's murder, further questions started to be asked about her close connection with two previous deaths, that of her best friend Betsy and of her own mother, Shirley. Prosecutors could no longer deny that her association with both Betsy Faria and Shirley Newman was suspicious, so police would reopen the investigation into both cases with their eyes now open to the possibility of Pamela's involvement. Shirley Newman.
See how they're testing it there? That was them testing the railings out. And they're like, there's no fucking way she did that.
His cause of death was eventually changed from accidental to undetermined. In 2018, the judge in Louis's murder stated prosecutors could not use information about Shirley's death in the trial against Pam. But he did rule that they could use evidence relating to the death of Betsy Faria as they pled their case. Pamela's trial date was set for June of 2019, but just before it started, Pamela entered an Alford plea in the murder of Louis Grumpenberger. She wouldn't be pleading guilty, but an Alford plea is an admission that the evidence against her would likely be overwhelming. This meant that Pam wouldn't go to trial in Louis's death, And as a condition of this plea, she would not face the death penalty. Pamela told her husband from jail
See how
that
cocky
she
she
only
is?
used
Does
this
that look
option
familiar?
so that her children
Does
would
that look familiar? Smiling. It's like it's Jen McCabe. It's Jen McCabe. It's the same thing. Except she actually was the actual person who did the murder. Like, she's much more vicious. Jen McCabe's a pussy at the end of the day and a coward. This woman's dangerous. This woman will fucking kill you. Kill you. She's walking around all
wouldn't have to witness an ugly trial. After the Alford plea, the Lincoln County prosecutor announced that he would be reopening the Betsy Faria homicide investigation. By this point, Russ had already wrongly served 3.5 years in jail for his wife's murder. Despite numerous appeals and admissions that there were flaws in the initial investigation, it had taken until 2015 for him to be released on bond pending a new trial. In 2021, Pamela was interviewed in connection with the murder of Betsy for the first time as a suspect. Less than 4 days after this interview, Pamela was charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal
never
action,
treated as a suspect.
the same charges brought against Russ nearly 10 years earlier. The prosecutor stated he would seek the death penalty due to the heinousness and depravity of the crime and Pamela's attempts to deflect blame onto Betsy's husband. While this case has not yet gone to court, they will claim that Pamela killed Betsy in an effort.
And so they're suing now. Pam, because of stupid COVID, she made bank off of COVID in jail somehow. Like, you know that all prisoners got COVID money? And so that's one thing that they're suing her for now is the COVID money. And so she took this Alford plea basically to avoid the death penalty because it's a death penalty state, which, you know, it's like, that's why it's like I'm a little bit against the death penalty because it's too often used as a bargaining chip to get people to plea to life in prison. And it like that could, you know, that's scary. If you were innocent, I don't know. I just think if you're innocent, what would you do? I don't know. It seems like an unfair thing to hold over someone's head. We'll take the death penalty off if you just plead a murder and send life in prison.
Effort to defraud her out of a life insurance policy. They believe once she found out that Betsy was dying of cancer, she befriended her with her intentions clear from the start. On that terrible day, she waited until Betsy was asleep on the couch after her treatment, which would have left her weak and tired. Then, Pam repeatedly stabbed her good friend as she slept, stopping when the knife became so embedded in her throat she had to find another to complete the attack. Pam took off one of her friend's socks and then used it to spread blood around the home, including onto Russ's slippers, before placing them back on Betsy's feet. After Russ's release, a new trial ultimately exonerated him and his conviction was overturned. In 2020, Russ received a $2 million settlement in his claim against unlawful imprisonment. Russ had filed a number of lawsuits alleging unethical behavior from the prosecutor and investigators at the time of his initial arrest, and yet no one has faced charges in that matter. This is despite testimony from witnesses claiming Russ was targeted as a suspect from the outset, and that there were inappropriate relationships between those involved in the investigation, leading to his arrest being predetermined. In May of 2022, it was announced that an inquiry would be undertaken to establish if there was any misconduct in the initial investigation. Prosecutors stated they would not be seeking to file charges against Pamela for the death of her mother, Shirley. But after her imprisonment in September of 2020, Pamela's husband filed for divorce, claiming that their marriage was irretrievably broken. And Betsy's murder became the subject of 6
You hear that, Matt McCabe? That's your future.
Separate episodes, ironically, on Dateline NBC, the show she had impersonated
6
working
episodes.
for when committing the murder of Lewis. Until Pamela faces her final charges in Betsy's murder, she remains incarcerated at the Chillicothe Correctional Center. A preliminary hearing was scheduled for February of 2022, but was delayed indefinitely after Hupp's public defender died of a heart attack.
Oh, isn't that
But
convenient?
whenever this trial inevitably takes place, we can rest assured that
So the Betsy Faria is still not gotten justice. luckily, you know, because of Louis Gumpenberger, this woman's never going to get out of jail. But Russ's kids still afterwards did not talk to him until 2021. They officially apologized to him because they're adults now. And it's just like, I wonder what that's going to be like with Karen Read when this is done. It's like, what I think about that sometimes is how will John's kids react when Karen Read is acquitted for this? Like, and that's why I want convictions. That's why it's like not enough. Cause I think about those kids. Cause if they turn her into Casey Anthony or OJ, like that's, you know, I'm sure Karen is accepted that, like, whatever, like, you know, but I'm sure it would probably, if I were her, it would feel good to have, you know, those kids who you were a major part of their life come back to you and be like, I'm so sorry. You know, I'm really like, wow, I can't believe they did that to you. Because those kids have been fed nothing but lies and poison this whole time and have been made to believe that Karen Read did this when she clearly didn't. And the people who are around her, maybe if Jen McCabe stole a life insurance policy from them, they might feel a little different. But, you know, how much did Paul O'Keefe make off of this? You know? Oh, it's totally not their fault. They're fucking kids. They're fucking kids, man. They've been lied to the whole time. They're victims in this. They are victims of the same people who have been lying to everyone this entire time. Everyone. So, hey, I'll be right back. I got to go get a drink of water. I ran out of water. Hold on. Let me play something here. Hold on. What video can I play here? Anything good? Turtle douche. I find like a 2-minute video to play. Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna look up my name. I get it. Okay, but I know how much comes up on my name, and that bothers me to a certain extent, just because my daughter and I were talking about all this. Because I'll be straightforward with everybody here. When I first got this information, I went to my children, who are 12 and 15. They're not little kids or whatever, and I said, I have some really incriminating information on Aidan. They obviously know who he is at this point. What should I do with it? And my son said, well, if it's going to hurt his family, I wouldn't do it because you're going to look petty and hypocritical. And, you know, it hurt us a lot. And I don't want to do that to anyone else. And I said, okay, my daughter, who has been much more affected because Aidan has really focused on her and she's 15 years old, said, fucking bury him. All right. And, you know,
ship off the old block.
She did, though. Yeah. And one thing that she said to me today when we were discussing this is,
oh, yeah, that's disturbing. So that's actually Krusty Fanny's talking about when she got sent, you know, the videos. The first thing she did when she got those videos is she apparently went to her children, her teenage children, and like, hey, kids, look at these videos of this man cranking it. And what should I do with these videos? Like, I'm going to leave it up to the children to decide what I'm going to do with these videos of this guy cranking it. And her kid says, fucking bury him, because that's not disturbing. That sounds like a well-adjusted child. Like, okay. But yeah. Oh no, I mean, the kids have nothing to apologize for because they're fucking kids. I'll talk about John's there. They have nothing to apologize for. No, not at all. Even if they testify against her, doesn't matter because they're just children and they're being manipulated in this whole thing and lied to. So there's that. Okay, let me read a couple turtle chats here. We got a couple in the house to read. First is from Bill. He sends $50. Thank you, Bill. He goes, thanks for all you have done to expose this travesty of justice against Karen Read. I agree completely, Bill, and it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Meredith sends $50. Thank you, Meredith. Oh, it's Meredith from the Canton 9. She goes, guess what? I caved and made more ornaments for all you slackers who didn't order last month. Man, those ornaments, I did like, she sold out. The Turtleboy Merry Christmas ornaments, those are a bestseller. She goes, she made more. Tomorrow, only there will be free Karen, Read, and Turtleboy ornaments at the protest with Jess from the Canton 9. There will even be surprised limited edition protest ornaments. Turtleboy has seen them. Yes, I have. And they won't disappoint. Thank you to everyone attending the protest tomorrow and supporting the Canton 9. Thank you very much for that, Meredith. I appreciate that. Okay. And let me make sure I didn't miss any others. Turtle chat. I got a couple cash apps, I think. Let me read these. First is from Kyle. Says, sends $25 and says, DC is fine. DC is fine. Okay. Thank you, Kyle. Fat McAlbert sends $20 and says, say hi to Aunt Chris for me. Free Karen and Turtleboy. Well, thank you very much. I don't know who Aunt Chris is, but okay. I definitely, if you're talking about Chris Albert, I definitely cannot say hi to him because he's very scared and very intimidated by this. So, the reason I talk about the Pam Hupp case is just like I think about it for all the people saying, oh, this could never happen. All these institutions couldn't get this wrong. Come on. It's really not that hard. It's really not that complicated. Even some schmuck idiot like Pam Hupp, who is not a smart criminal, like really shouldn't have had no reason to get away with this. Like she did everything wrong. She brought her cell phone with her. She didn't make sure that Russ had an alibi. She went out of her way to make sure that she was the one that picked her up. She 4 days before she made sure that she got the life insurance, and then she didn't give it to the kids. She did everything possibly wrong that you could. And the prosecutor was still like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And the judge is like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Because the prosecutor's fucking the lead detective, Michael Lang, for some reason. And it's just like, it's the same shit, man. It's the same shit. So like, if some schmuck like Pam Hupp can get away with this with no connections, think about what a bunch of politically connected people in a place where the district attorney faces no chance of ever losing an election at all, and a judge who isn't even elected is just appointed and gets that seat for life and has no chance of ever losing it. And think of what they could do to someone if they're just like, yeah, she did it. And then just the people who had the obvious, last person to see him, evidence seems to point towards you did this. You Googled something shady at that time. Ryan Nagel's statement, Lucky Loughran's statement, all these people. And it just doesn't matter because they don't look into it. If the people doing the investigation don't take that angle, then there's nothing you can do. There's just nothing you can do. And you have to wonder how often this happens. You do have to wonder how often does this happen? How many people get away with it? Exactly. Like, I don't think for a second that these people haven't framed someone before. It came way too easily to them, man. It came way too easily. I don't think they might have committed a murder of a cop, but it just came too easy for them. These people, I'm telling you right now, like Colin Albert, Jem McCabe, they could have some Pam Hupp in them, man. You get away with killing someone, you're like, oh, fuck, I really am untouchable. Like, they just won't look into the Ford Edge. Like, I drove, like, a Colin Albert's, like, thinking, like, I drove my fucking car there. I was seen, apparently. I sat there helping stage a body because my uncle's mad at me because I killed someone in his house. Covered in dog bites. And we just left that motherfucker there. And got away with it. And they didn't even look for the Ford Edge. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Because I know the police. I know them. So they think that they can get away with anything. Because they can. So there's that. Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions they want to ask me or anything like that? Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a little different kind of episode tonight. But I'd like to do more true crime. The other one that's really got me interesting, the other Jen McCabe out there I noticed, is this Wendy Adelson person. Look her up. The woman in Florida whose husband, Dan Markle, died, was killed 9 years ago. Wendy's brother, Charlie, was just convicted of hiring the hitman to kill him. And there's no fucking way, if you watch these, wait till you see the Wendy Adelson interviews and her testifying on the stand this shit. Like that woman has Jen McCabe written all over her. Like continue, like so dislikable. Her mother's in jail for being involved in the murder of her ex-husband. Her brother's in jail, but she's not somehow. I feel like it's coming. I feel like that there's no fucking way she didn't. No fucking way. And I guess I'm a true crimer now. I guess I'm officially a true crimer. That's my thing now. I'm a true crime guy. Kind of, but not really. But okay. Anyone else have any questions they want to ask me before we call it a night? Big day tomorrow with the protest, obviously. Yeah, people have sent that to me about the arrest of the Everett man for speaking out against the corrupt mayor. I need time to just review it all. There's only so many hours in the day, and I'm just one guy. You know, I'd like to look into it more for sure. What do you think about the DEA being involved? I've never heard of that. I don't know anything about that. Wendy Adelson on the day of the murder drove by the scene. Of course she did. Do you see the post about someone getting their lug nuts loosened? I mean, is that confirmed? Would I consider myself a progressive? On criminal justice reform, I guess that would make me one, right? That I completely look at the system differently now. I used to assume I used to assume the system existed to put bad people in jail. I don't think it does, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think it does. I always thought, and I still feel this way, that it's too progressive in some ways because, like, I've seen it in court a million times. Like, look at the officer that was just killed in Waltham, and let's be honest, the National Grid worker too. Too often two people were killed that day. Not like R.I.P. to Paul Tracy, but also R.I.P. to Roger Grant, who did nothing wrong. He was working. They were both killed. Okay. And he's not going to get the bagpipes or any of that stuff, but his life mattered too. And I look at that and I'm like, that guy who killed him, that guy should have been in jail a long time ago. He's done this a million times with his car. And he just keeps getting away with it. And so in that regard, I think our criminal justice system is way too progressive. It lets people who are clearly announcing to the world, I'm dangerous as fuck. The guy that killed Sean Gannon, they call him 125 because he had 125 prior charges. Violent too. And they're like, yo, I'm like the definition of a bad frequent flyer repeat offender. You can lock me up if you want and throw away the key. And these progressive judges just keep being like, let's give him 100th try. So like, but then I see Kara Reed and they're like, let's throw the book at that cunt or me. And they're like, let's throw the book at him. He's the word. Like, I go into court, I'm treated like the scum of the earth. The way Judge Krupp is a liberal, like a huge liberal. He gave money to Elizabeth Warren. And he's up here like kind of thumbing his nose, like the way he looks at me, like this guy's fucking, this is real bad. Mr. Bradl, do you believe a journalist should be saying that, quote, yo, Colin, it's Turtleboy from them Advantage Boys, bang, bang. Do you believe that is a First Amendment journalistic thing? Because I read the New York Times every day, and I don't see anyone in the New York Times ever saying bang, bang. Mr. Bradl, care to explain that one? Okay. Yeah. So I guess in some ways I am, in some ways I'm not. I'll be on LTL, on the LTL podcast on Wednesday. We should have like we should have the glare on. We should all go on together. We should have like 4 or 5 people on there. It should be cool like that. But I'm not telling them how to do a show. I never would have linked the two because the murders are so different, but Wendy Adelson and Gemma Cave, they really are. The murders are very different, but the cuntiness is the same. Just saying. Will the feds forward all their geofence and cell phone data to special prosecutors when the McAlberts are finally implicated? Yeah, well, the question is, will the feds forward all their geofence and cell data to Karen Read's defense attorney prior to trial? That's the real question. That's the real question. Because they have geofence. They have geofence. They got what Karen Read's lawyers couldn't get because they're the FBI. They can get whatever they want. But are they ethically obligated? What if that compromises their own investigation? What if that gives away too much? Well, I have a hard time believing they're just going to sit there and watch Karen Read fry as they build a case. That seems unethical. The 13th juror has been following the case. She was at court every day of the brothers' trial. Oh, really? So she's been following that. Okay, I'll have to give. She's been great. That's Brandy's podcast, correct? Brandy Churchwell. I love how he wants to teach him a life lesson by making him help carry out the dead body, but he won't hold him accountable for the murder. I don't follow. You know anything about the feds visiting Kevin Albert? I mean, these are just rumors. The feds wouldn't announce it. But, I've heard, I find it hard to believe that a murder cover-up happens in Canton without Kevin Albert knowing about it. Come on. Especially involving multiple members of the Albert family, and Kevin's like in the dark. Come on. Stop it. Do you think Higgins is flipped? 1,000%. I know Higgins is. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Jill Daniels gave that one away, right? Why don't you talk to Higgins? I mean, that interview is rather telling. So there's that. Do any other judges get high-profile cases besides Auntie Bev, Walsh, Reed, and the retrial of Manny Lopes? Yeah, I mean, O'Shea has jurisdiction in that courtroom now. I don't know. Did you make it to Michelle Wu's Christmas? Maybe if I got a spray tan, Oh, that was another thing. I mean, I thought that was hilarious. Like I said in the story I published yesterday, the only thing I'm surprised about is that people are surprised. I'm like, have you guys missed the last 5 or 6 years of wokeness? Like, this is how it works now. You can just be racist to white people. It's okay. And white people will just take it. That's the beauty of white people. We'll just take it. Like, whatever. We don't want to go to that party anyway. We don't make a big deal out of shit. There's too many white people who have been trained to believe that, because of the oppression that you had nothing to do with, you got to just deal with it. You can't go to the party, and you got to accept that because it's kind of your fault. Ricardo Arroyo is a better person than you, so he gets to go to the dinner and you don't. That's how it works. Kendra Lar is a better person than you. Sorry. Sorry, I got a little cold. Please focus on Karen Read. Well, I feel like I am focusing a lot on Karen Read. I do Elf on the Shelf for our kids. It's fun. I don't even know where the elf is right now. But it is confirmed. It's confirmed. Wow. That's really low. That's really low. That's crazy. That was the retweet. You had a lot in that tweet, though. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Okay, so this stuff about who went to the feds. It wasn't Wanless who went to the feds, guys. Think about who went to the feds. Who do you think went to the feds? Think. Who's got connections? Like, who would go to the feds? Think. Not going to say anything else, but it's pretty obvious. Confirmed on November 5th. Deflated, another punctured. Really? Was there a police report or anything? Sorry, I'm catching up. I'm on 11:08 now. Who's Eileen? Did you see Covendinger for talk about last night about light? Yeah, I mean, I see her making. She says a lot of dumb stuff. Sorry, I'm catching up on comments here. Who cares about those kids? They will never apologize. I mean, I wouldn't say who cares about them. They've been put through a lot, but they're victims here too. Yeah, Tim Bradl did a great job, obviously. A fantastic job on the Young Jerks. I was really proud of him there. That made me proud client moment, if you will. Really good to see him on there. I thought he killed it. And everybody, like, for all the doubters, it's like, dude, he's passionate about this, man. Passionate. Those are the kind of, like, when we went into court, people are like, why didn't he say this? Why didn't he say that? Bitch, because it's not a Turtleboy live show. And I don't even want him to say that stuff. It's like, what the question was, why is Judge Krupp giving him a pop quiz about my comments? Like, that was the real question you should have been asking. Is we were there to argue broader issues of the First Amendment about, like, when he's like, yeah, Judge, the things he said in the charging documents, yeah, he said all that and he's allowed to, because the First Amendment allows him to say that. So you should get rid. He's a reporter doing his job. You need to let him be able to do his job. That was the issue. Like, we don't deny that he said any of this shit. Even if I did say all that, it's all protected. It's all out of context, but he did not think when we get in there, we're going to have to explain the fucking context of everything. That's insane. We're there to talk about the First Amendment. And the judge wanted to talk about, like, what about this specific quote? So it wasn't Tim's fault. It was the fucking judge's fault. It was a setup. The whole thing was a setup. I'm reading these comments. I'm on 11:11 now. Oh my gosh, you guys asked the Pats +8 tomorrow? That's it? I thought it was +10. The Wu Klux Klan. I do like the Wu Klux Klan. What? I don't think she would interview me. I don't think that would happen. The only difference between the prosecutors and the Dan Markel case is they actually wanted justice, so they wiretapped the Adelson. Is that how they got him? Wow. That's wild. I got to read up on that case more. I just know Wendy Adelson rubs me the wrong way. No, they actually said white people can, they sent the email out, and it's like electeds of color, they call them, which is just wild. Electeds, which is not a word, of color. Here's the Christmas party. And then they sent a follow-up email, because they sent it to everyone, even the whites. And like, sorry, whites, you weren't supposed to get that email. It was supposed to be like a secret. Only the electeds of color were supposed to get that. Like, what? Who is the linebacker in the red dress? That would be Liz Miranda. Read my stories about her, you newbies. It's linked in there. They do try to defame everyone. The Currans. By the way, like, everyone in town is like on Karen's side. Like, everyone. This whole idea that the town of Canton is divided, it's really not. It's team. If it's not team Karen, it's team, like, corruption is bad. Like, that team. No, and it wasn't Higgins who went to, it was not Higgins who went to the feds. I'm telling you, Higgins isn't going to go there. And you guys are missing the most obvious fucking thing. I mean, think about it. Who's going to go to the feds and say, can you investigate the investigators? Who's going to do that? Think about it. Can't believe this has to be spelled out. It's not Brian Higgins. Brian Higgins is going to be like, yeah, investigate me, please. They got away with it. Why would he go to the feds? It makes no sense. Think about it. Think. I'm not going to say it. Sorry, I'm catching up on 11:20. When is Karen's next court date? January 5th. It's going to be lit. We're going to have a protest that day outside of the courthouse. Obviously, that's in like a few weeks when you think about it. Yeah. Well, I see one person got it at least. The obvious answer. But okay. Anyone else have any other questions they want to ask? Anything before we call it a night? Check the donos. I don't want to miss any. Did anybody send a dono that it missed? I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, I think we're caught up. Did I miss? Like, I'm seeing someone this end from a Kevin Lenahan sent $5. Is that real? Oh, like they are coming in. I got one from came in at 11:46 p.m. That's we've already passed that. Oh no, that's later. That's not a turtle chat. All right, I think we're caught up then. All right. Okay. Anyone else before we call it a night? All right, guys. So we'll talk to you guys for the next episode of. Well, actually, we'll see some people tomorrow in Canton, and we'll see everybody else for the next episode of Turtleboy Live on. When's the next day? See everybody for the next episode of Turtleboy Live on Tuesday. All right. Peace, Turtle Riders.